Jessica noticed something strange while she was driving. The car ahead seemed to be challenging her. No matter how she drove, the black Jeep kept blocking her. Jessica seized the chance and sped up to pass the black Jeep, but the Jeep matched her speed, deliberately keeping her from passing. Jessica grew more and more confused. Meanwhile, a truck came toward them. It was dangerous. At the last moment, she managed to slip past. But she never imagined the black Jeep would chase her again. Had the driver been in some kind of trouble and was signaling her? Jessica thought it was better to avoid trouble. At the next fork, she jerked the wheel and turned off, taking a different road from the Jeep. Only then did she have a moment to breathe. But later that night, when she stopped for gas, something strange happened again. The black Jeep showed up once more. It seemed to always follow her, but at least it didn't stop to do anything. That gave Jessica a bit of comfort. After a busy day, she finally lay down. But lying in bed looking at her phone, the picture of her and her husband on the screen kept her awake. Not long before, Jessica's husband had died unexpectedly. To escape the painful memories and start fresh, she drove by herself and set out on a long road trip. But this trip was not going to be ordinary. The next day, she got ready to leave as usual. As soon as she started the car, a stranger walked up and said hello. Jessica couldn't remember who he was, but the man introduced himself. He said he had been the driver of the black Jeep yesterday and apologized for what happened, saying he hadn't noticed her. Facing this friendly stranger, Jessica told him all about her trip. She didn't realize that this would turn her trip into a nightmare. After they talked and got to know each other, the man waved to say goodbye and disappeared from sight. Jessica kept driving on her journey, but she felt more and more uneasy. A quiet, uneasy feeling hung around her. Sure enough, she soon saw the familiar black Jeep ahead. Seeing it again and again made her even more panicked. Just when she decided to leave, the man stepped forward and blocked the road. Jessica felt helpless. The man said his car had broken down and hoped she would get out to drive it while he pushed from behind. When she heard she had to get out, Jessica quickly refused, saying she could call for help, but the man flatly refused. His strange answer made her sense danger. She ignored his request, kept driving while making excuses, and hurried away from that dangerous road. But could it really be that simple? That night, Jessica sat by the road to rest, and the black Jeep appeared yet again. Her heart was in her throat. Was the man coming for revenge? She picked up her pace and left the area. She no longer cared that the man was calling after her. Jessica stepped on the gas to get away, but when a white car blocked the intersection and the man came up behind her,
trying to go to the bathroom and you almost hit me.
No matter what he said, Jessica didn't dare trust him anymore. She quickly left the place. How could you meet someone 5 times in a row? The man must have been up to something. With unease in her heart, Jessica kept driving through the night. She also dialed 911 for help because no one knew what would happen next. But the phone signal kept cutting out. As she kept repeating her story, another black car appeared behind her, and it got faster and faster. Jessica knew she was about to be in danger. Thankfully, it wasn't that Jeep. Jessica finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed she had really been overthinking everything. After she gave up on helping, she thought she could pass the night safely. But suddenly, the car went out of control. Even though Jessica tried hard to hold the wheel, the car finally ran off the road and flipped into the ditch. Even without the stranger's threat, her own luck still brought disaster. With a flashlight in hand, Jessica checked carefully and discovered the tire had a huge slash in it. Unease slowly rose in her heart. At that moment, headlights lit up behind her. Panic rushed over Jessica. She hurried back into her car to hide. But the man was already there, holding an iron rod in his hand. He smashed the window. This time he dropped the act and forced his way into the car. He injected Jessica with some kind of drug. Her body grew weak, and soon she fell unconscious. The next day, Jessica slowly woke up. She found herself locked inside the basement of a remote wooden cabin. The windows were barred with iron rods. Desperate, she rushed to the door. But no matter how she looked outside, there was no useful clue at all. Just when she felt helpless, a sound came from the window. Jessica ran toward it, shouting for help, but the face she saw was the man's familiar one. At that moment, she finally realized she was trapped deep in the wilderness. But how could she save herself now? That night, the man opened the door at last. Jessica curled up in the corner. She knew that no matter how much she screamed, no one would ever hear her. The man walked toward her with a blank face. Jessica begged him, asking how much money he wanted to let her go, but she underestimated him again. She tried to fight back, but in the end, she was still trapped in the basement. The man even took Jessica's tablet, played her old videos, and insulted her late husband. Jessica's heart ached, and she spent that night in pain. The next morning, Jessica woke up. She walked to the door again. This time she noticed something strange. The key was left inside the keyhole. At once, she thought of a plan. She slipped her jacket through the crack to catch the key on the other side. Then she spotted an iron nail nearby. Using all her strength, she pulled it out. With that, she managed to push the key through. As expected, the key dropped onto her jacket. Jessica quickly unlocked the door and stepped out of the dark basement. But just then, the man happened to return. Jessica hid inside a cabinet. She watched his every move closely. The man still had no idea she was escaping. He sat down and ate breakfast. Soon his daughter called. Jessica then learned he actually had a wife and a child. He lied to them over the phone, telling his family he would be home soon. His gentle voice was like that of an ordinary husband and father. The sharp contrast sent chills down Jessica's spine. She realized he was living a double life, a monster hiding behind a mask. When the man hung up, he prepared to head toward the basement. It was the perfect chance. Jessica seized the moment and slipped out of the cabinet. She finally escaped, but just as she expected, she was still surrounded by nothing but the desolate wilderness. On the other side, the man heard the noise and quickly chased after her. But at that desperate moment of escape, Jessica accidentally stepped on a sharp branch that pierced through her foot. Even though she was badly injured, her survival instinct pushed her forward. Soon, Jessica was forced to the edge of a rushing river. Facing the man who gave her no way out, she gritted her teeth and jumped in. The freezing water almost drained all her strength, but she managed to escape him for the time being. With her injured foot, every step became painfully difficult. As she struggled to move forward, she suddenly heard a sound. In this empty wilderness, could it be the man catching up? She quickly hid behind a big tree. But it turned out to be a hunter named Robert. To Jessica, he felt like a savior. She poured out everything she had gone through. Robert's eyes showed a hint of doubt, but seeing Jessica's injuries, he decided to follow with his rifle and help her leave the place. Yet in this remote wilderness, was Robert truly a good man? Robert handed Jessica a pair of shoes, and the two set off together. For the first time, Jessica felt a bit of relief. Maybe she was really saved, but after driving only a few miles, a fallen tree blocked the road. Seeing the path clearly cut off on purpose, Jessica broke down in frustration. She knew the man had done it. She and Robert tried to move the tree, but it didn't work. Then, the familiar black Jeep appeared again. Panic rushed through Jessica, but Robert shielded her from behind. The man, however, looked unusually calm. He claimed to be Jessica's brother, saying she had a mental illness because her husband had just died. He even thanked Robert for finding his sister. Jessica hurried to explain the truth, but the man's convincing act fooled the unsuspecting Robert. In an instant, the man acted like a caring brother, comforting his sick sister. Jessica desperately told Robert to check the man's phone. Seizing a chance, she broke free. Robert also began to sense something was wrong and tried to stop the man. Still pretending, the man resisted showing his phone. At that moment, he revealed his true nature. He snatched Robert's rifle and shot him dead without hesitation. Rain poured down from the dark sky. Jessica hid through the night, but the man never stopped searching. When she crouched behind a rock for shelter, the man spotted a faint trace of her. She held her breath, daring not to make a sound. Only after his flashlight went dark did she dare to shift slightly. Luckily, the man thought it was just an animal and wasn't completely sure it was Jessica. That gave her a chance to keep hiding, but since he had seen a trace, he refused to leave so easily. Jessica was forced to hide underwater. The man put down his rifle and taunted her, saying she had 1 minute to come out and take it. He even mocked her by bringing up her dead husband, but Jessica endured, not moving at all. Finally, the man believed he was mistaken and turned away. Jessica finally climbed out of the muddy pit. The next morning, she woke up by a tree. What awaited her was still an endless escape. As she ran through the woods, she suddenly spotted the man passing by. When she crept closer, she saw him burying Robert's body. Taking advantage of the moment he left his car, Jessica carefully climbed inside. But after searching around, she couldn't find the car keys. Instead, she discovered the man's phone. Just then, the man returned. Jessica quickly slipped into the back seat. After wiping his glasses, the man casually glanced behind him, but didn't notice anything unusual. Not long after, Jessica quietly picked up the phone. Covering her voice with the sound of the engine, she whispered her location. That was when the man sensed something was wrong. He hit the brakes hard and searched for his missing phone. When he looked into the rearview mirror, Jessica knew she had been caught. She grabbed a wrench from the car and smashed it at him. A fierce struggle broke out. The car spun out of control and rolled down the embankment. No one knew how long had passed. Jessica slowly crawled out of the wreck. Above her, she heard the sound of a helicopter. It seemed her call from the car had been answered, but she had no strength left to cry for help. The helicopter flew away, leaving her behind. After regaining some strength, Jessica continued to flee into the distance. Meanwhile, the man also regained consciousness. When Jessica reached an open field, she sensed he was close again. She picked up his phone and dialed his wife's number. Right in front of him, she told the woman on the other end, "I'm the woman your husband kidnapped." The words completely broke him. Wounded and furious, his face twisted with madness. The two of them fought one final battle. In the end, Jessica won. Her nightmare ended as the rescue helicopter arrived. Exhausted, Jessica lay on the muddy ground, watching the helicopter in the sky. She had survived.